just to be part of this conversation regards to the happenings in our nation.
Recording
Not
in
just in our
progress.
nation alone, but to also look at ways of contributing our quota to society in general. It is my pleasure to welcome you today, this evening, and to uh, introduce the topic we're going to be focusing on tonight. Tonight, um, we've decided to pick a topic that is very, very close to my heart personally, and it's not just a question of it being close to my heart. It's actually uh, of relevance to our nation currently, the way things are, and it is not difficult at all if one were to consider the kind of setup that runs our nation, the kind of setup that benefits from our nation, the kind of setup that actually uh, believes a bit more in our country, Nigeria. It is not, it goes without saying that it does appear that if you speak with many younger members of the younger generation out there, a lot of them do not believe in the entity called Nigeria. A lot of them do say it matter of factly that they do not believe in Nigeria, and that is why in my when I was a lot younger, we used to talk about Andrew checking out because of an advert then by the late legend Enebeli Elebua. But now it does appear that quite the majority, then it was an exception. Every, one or two people wanted to check out of the country. But the way things are now, we're actually seeing a situation whereby it is actually the rule rather than the exception. And it is not far-fetched to know why. It's just because the youth, the jobs are just not there. We don't have enough job openings to actually take in the millions of graduates and skilled trainees that we continue to churn out on on a yearly basis. We do not have enough things to even cater for them. That is the reality of our existence. How long should this continue? And yesterday, when you consider yesterday, I was looking at some of the results from the Lagos State local government elections, and it was very, very, you one could just see that there were issues there as well, because yet they had a is it YPP Youth Party, or something, participating in that election. But the fact of it was, everybody kind of knew the kind of the direction that election would go, and it wasn't a surprise that the election went that way. The results have started being announced today in Lagos, in Ogun State, and a few other places, and you're just saying, as at the last count, I saw that one party, the ruling party in Lagos State, had won 20 local government seats, and you just know that it's gonna be it's just the way it's gonna be. It's just the way it is. So and then you ask yourself whether where's the hope for the youth of Nigeria. So how do we address all these things? And of course, when we talk about the elections yesterday, the fact is that the provisions in the electoral law, electoral acts that allows enormous spending on elections, they are not the kind of funds people who do not, have other sources, who do not have godfathers, people who have not found a way to actually uh, dip their hands into the public purse. They are not the kind of resources they're going to have access to. So that is why we are where we are today, with a lot of with the youth enchantment. Because when someone looks and goes like, you know what, okay, things might not be the way they should be today, but there's hope that life will get better tomorrow, then it is very easy to tell them to believe in the dream. But when they look at today, and it does not even appear that there will be any improvement tomorrow, then it is very difficult to make them believe that there is a hope or there's something they can do differently. Without further ado, I've got an in-house panel tonight. We're just going to be addressing things in our own way, just to be able to give a perspective and to all these conversations. With me tonight, I've got Comrade Shalafayemi. You're most welcome. Secretary General, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us. We've got Comrade Kende Akande, the ASG. Thanks for joining us. We've got our Director of Budget, Abidemi Onojobi. Thanks for joining us. And of course, for now, the last but definitely not the least, we've got Miss Anu Adepoju joining us as well. So we're going to start the conversation. Tackling youth disenchantment. This disenchantment with Project Nigeria. Project Nigeria is Nigeria as it is. Nigeria yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That's Project Nigeria. What is the cause, the root cause? Of course, I've talked about a few things, but what are the root causes of youth disenchantment with Project Nigeria? How can we tackle this? How can we change things around? How can we ensure that the youths, who are the future of the country, how can we ensure that they believe in this thing we call Nigeria? What are the things we're doing wrong? What are the things that we need to do right? How do we do them right? How do we go about them? How do we change the narrative so that the youth, the talented ones, all of them, then it's not like everyone is looking to check out, but that there's more hope, that politically, economically, socially, in every way, there is hope for them within the system in Nigeria. I'm going to start with our Secretary General, Comrade Shalafayemi. What is your take on this?
Thank you so much, Mr. Convener. I want to sincerely appreciate all the in-house panel and the audience who have joined us on social media and on other platforms. Looking at the youth disengagement and disenchantment with the Project Nigeria, we should look at the fundamentals that where did we get it wrong as a nation? How did we find ourselves in this scenario? Why is it that the youth, even in the olden days, in the early 1990s, I remember some of my other colleagues in the banking sector, as at that time, Canada was not this difficult. Going to America was not this hazardous, but at the same time, many of them had that free offer of traveling out of the country, but many of them at that time rejected that offer. And we should see at that time too that we have some one of our friends in the medical profession who had opportunities of going outside this country in the early 2000s, but all of them and many of them declined the offer. Why now that everybody now believe in the collective slogan that we call Japa, and average Nigerian now believe in Japa out of this country. We should begin to understand that where do we now get strong as a nation? How come that we now find ourselves in a state of despair where nobody see a better tomorrow in the Project Nigeria? In a state where there is a large brain drain, and every person, after accumulating some level of knowledge in Nigeria, believe in going to senior climb, as the case may be, as they call it, for them to exhibit whatever they might have learned in Nigeria. I remember sometimes we had a program, Joy 12, in one of the organizations that was privy to be a friend who is currently a lecturer in Canada, confirmed it on that platform that majority of what he learned in Nigeria were mere rhetorics, that they were nothing to write home about when he got to the foreign land. That is to tell us that we need to consider the quality of the education that we acquire in this nation. We need to look at the provision in which the government made for us. What are the things they are putting on ground? How are they making youth employable? What are the quality of knowledge that are being passed into our people in this country? what are the provisions they're even making for the youth that are going out of their universities to get themselves engaged? What are the entrepreneurs? I don't think we have, in many universities of nowadays, we only have entrepreneurial studies, but we don't see the practicability of these entrepreneurial studies in the life of the students as they are graduating from that school. All of them, what they teach us is the theory. What they teach us are the qualities of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a risk taker. But looking at the practical aspect of it, they don't, the environment is not enabling enough for us to be able to mitigate against the risks that the university might have taught us in an entrepreneurial studies to be a risk taker. All of us are beginning to see that year in, year out, I can say authoritatively that every quarter, probably every 2 or 3 months, the NYC always send out nothing less than 35,000, because I know there's no state that take nothing less than 1,000 youth corps members. That's to say that we have nothing less than 35,000 youths graduating or being mobilized to NYC camp every 2 months. Where are the jobs? Do they have jobs available for them? Is the system preparing them in meeting the future challenges? What are the things? What are the government putting in place? Fine, people will say we cannot blame government for everything. Government cannot provide jobs for everybody. If our current president and leadership knew that government cannot provide jobs, why did they come on board in 2011 or 20, to promise us that they are going to create 5 million jobs every year? That is for them to understand that there is high level of unemployment. You also understood that fact that there is need for the youth to be engaged, because we know, and Bible has confirmed it, and idle hand is always a devil's workshop. That is why we have the predominance of youth restiveness in another part of the country, where there's no level of education, where there's no level of exposure, and where the mind is not engaged, there is tendency for them to be disengaged. And when there is no adequate information or engagement of the mind of the youth, automatically there will be room for them to engage in so many nefarious activities. The quality of tomorrow's leaders lies in the character of today's follower. And if our follower is not well groomed, automatically this nation will be continuing the same sphere. All of us will begin to wonder why is it that an average youth don't want to believe in a protected Nigeria? Why is it that they want Biafra, they want people to disengage from the what we call a United Nation? Somebody will tell you that, okay, does not believe it's proclaiming a unified nation. But in all cases, we all believe that states are being produced by different regions and not going back for the effective utilization and development of these regions. Why is it that every person does not believe in our leaders? They all see them as, they see us as tools, which they come to use after 4 years. When they need us for election, that is when you see them as the constituencies, engaging youth, telling them so that somebody felt the best way they can empower youth in his constituency is to give them wheelbarrows. We've seen it in this nation that somebody felt the best way they can empower youth in his constituency is to give them 10,000 naira for election. I remember, sometimes last week, somebody analyzed that if a youth to collect 10,000 naira for 4 years, divide that by 4 years, that means it's amounting to like 600 naira or 1,000 naira per day. That means they are mortgaging a future for peanuts. And that is why there is no level of confidence in the crop of leaders that the nation produces. And automatically the youth of today will definitely become the leaders of tomorrow. And if these youth of today are not well catered for, if their orientation and value system is not well positioned, automatically the nation is twiting, towards a level of break. I remember we had some conversation a few minutes ago. I said, when you see people celebrating the burial of the mother of Obi Kubana, saying it was the talk of the town, even the youth that we thought to lighten, to a certain extent, should be able to put this scenario into critical thinking to see under normal circumstances, how will somebody make money legitimately? And that person betrayed that money into water, into swimming pool, and betrayed that money into thin air. It is not wrong with Femi Otedola. Femi Otedola has never spent money like that. I didn't get solution than Femi. I've been in a scenario with so many people. I've been in social factor with so many influential people in society. They never spent their money like that. Money is a currency that is very hard to get. One of the qualities of money, it is not easy to come and not be spent the way these people spend it. And you see you coming to social media, putting them as mentors. This guy, Big Kubana is a wonderful businessman. He has divested in this and that. That is not an issue of discourse. Nobody is saying Big Kubana is not a businessman. An average person society, if you are Christian, they will tell you they make their money in the education industry. There's something we call GAHRD, there's something we call placement. Even somebody who might have any sort of money legitimately can make that money to look legitimate to you. So that is an issue for discussion in another day. The value system that has been eroded in a nation. Why is it that youth no longer think in the way of adding value to themselves, but rather people believe in getting money, getting rich quickly? People who started job or people who graduated 1 or 2 years ago, we want to acquire what our comrade say they have not acquired in 20 years. You see a younger guy who wants to believe, I want to ride a bench of 75 million naira. And this guy, to a certain extent, does not legitimately work for something in 1 or 12 months. There are so many issues to discuss, but I don't want to take too much of our time. Let me this is an introduction. Let me leave our other in-house panel, to discuss this issue of youth disenchantment in Abuja, Nigeria. What has caused our people not to believe in a nation, and what is causing our youth to move away, from the value that fundamentally this nation was earlier founded on.
Well, thank you so much, Comrade Jolafayemi. I can, like I always say, when you go on like that, I just know that in terms of the raw passion, the raw feeling of it is. I really want to thank you. That is really really deep, and it goes without saying that our value. You mentioned our value system. I fully concur with that. The value system in Nigeria. This is what has formed quite a lot of our conversations in recent times, and it doesn't appear like things are getting better. It does appear that our value system continues to get worse and worse, because the kind of things that that drive you up the societal assessment ladder. Those things are not really about the core things what you possess. So it is not about the core skills, your core character, the factories you've tried to help set up, or the companies that you try to the people you've employed. Usually, more often than not, all these are just tied down to how much you're able, the perception of your wealth, how much people perceive that you have in your pocket, and these are very very sad things, but that is why we're having this. You can call this a clinic, you can call this a webinar, you can call it a seminar, but basically we need to bring these conversations up. But it's not just about, because we say imply that we're different. We're not just here to keep talking about the problems, because continue to talk about the problems doesn't do us any good anyway. But it's about preferring solutions, the things we can do differently, and the ideas that we can throw up that we hopefully others can actually, and then we can highlight all these things that are very antithetical to a very good value system, and hopefully people out there can begin to think about them, and we can all begin to actualize them. Thank you so much for that. I'm just going to go straight to the ASG, Kenny Akande. Let's have your view on that. I'm just going to go as you appear on my screen. After that, I'll have to say Adepoju, then go to Adeyemi, then Oyegunuga.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I think, fortunately, today will be the first time I'm going to be talking publicly like this. Just like my boss rightly said, I think nobody should be blamed for what is really happening to the youth of nowadays. Because to me, I think everyone has his own life to live. Everyone has his own destiny to fulfill. But the thing is just that we as a youth, we are not helping ourselves. A case study of the Cubana that Mr. Sholafayemi just said. I think I was in Oshogbo that day, and I can see so many youths were glued to their Instagram handle, seeing the way our so-called youth or we ourselves, seeing the way they are spending money lavishly without looking back, even spending without regret. And it's quite unfortunate that even the money that is being spent, and what caught my attention to it is that I can even see one of the police assistant commissioner for police in person of Abba Kiari still in the same gang with this set of people. Now the question now is this: if this kind of people are said to be kidnappers, if Obi Kubana and his carcass are said to be kidnappers, who is the person in charge to prosecute and arrest them?
Are you suggesting, Comrade Akonde, are you suggesting that Obi Kubana and Co are somehow involved with kidnapping? Are you suggesting that?
So I wouldn't know, because what I know about kidnapping when we were growing up is that when somebody used to be kidnapped, they used to find out about his family, his source of wealth. But now that anybody is being kidnapped anyhow, and there are, like, for instance, now there are so many cases of kidnapping in Kaduna, Zafara, and co like that. And up till now, I'm sure ransom have been paid, and up till now, there's no single soul that has been prosecuted or arrested collecting the ransom. Now we can see in person of ACP Abagiari still in the same carcass of those people. Now we are talking about inflation, we are talking about deflation. How this money they are spending, how does it come into circulation? I think Mr. Sholafayemi can answer that because it's in the financial sector. They are talking about there is shortage of money in circulation, there is inflation, the food is rising, and all that. And this kind of people, they are spending unaccounted amounts of money at the party without any regrets, and the government is not saying anything about it. In short, what I would just say is that we as a youth, or myself as a youth, Mr. Sholafayemi as a youth, and everyone in this platform, we are the ones to take our destiny in our own hands and make sure that the degradation that is happening in our society does not happen to us. And the children that we are giving back to, we need to educate them and lecture them properly that what they are seeing in the society is not the way of life. It's not the way things are to be done. It's not the way of doing things. We need to teach them, number one, we need to teach them the way of the Lord, and we need to make sure that their level of socialization is not that of the way of the society. Because what is really happening in the society is nothing to talk about. Thank you very much, sir.
Wow, thank you so much. For those who are watching, just I made that clarification. He's just he's imputing certain things based on the kind of things he's saying. He's not by any way totally suggesting that indeed these are confirmed to be involved in this. And he did up on that issue of that topic of value system again. In fact, the other day I was watching a real at a party. I think the MC was just having a laugh with the children and interviewing the children, and like two of them said they want to be kidnappers in a proper party. This wasn't a skit; it was at a party, and another of the children said he wanted to be Obi Kubana, and that is children are very innocent. They do say the things they see, and when you have a very innocent 7, 6, 9-year-old, and the big view of the world, the primary view of the world is a world that is peopled by, things like this, where this is what I aspire to be as well. I aspire to be in this kind of environment as well, where people are actually stoning themselves money and all those things, and it is, I'm just trying to amplify what you said. It speaks very, very deeply at value system. And don't forget, we're talking about youth, the place of the youth, and the fact that many of our youths are actually the society has found a way to, to make it appear hopeless for them. Like there's no way for them, no place for them to go. And those are the kind of things we'll continue to talk about this evening. And next on my screen, I'll call on Miss Anu Adepoji.
Good evening.
Good evening. You're welcome.
Everyone. Yeah, I would like to appreciate Plight for this opportunity to speak up this evening. Hello, can we hold?
We can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, all right. When we began to talk about youth and youth Nigeria, a lot of things are actually embedded in that. But, I would like to start by saying something. In the Nigeria of today, we already have this mindset that when it comes to youth, they are younger children, so they don't know what is actually going on. So even in a situation where we are trying to actually speak up, the grown ones, the elderly ones, they will tell us that you don't know what they are doing, you don't know what it's all about, you just came to the world and all that. Of course, the problems of Nigerian we can't blame anyone for this per se. Like what he said earlier on, it's a situation whereby individuals need to speak up for themselves. Of course, we know a lot of things has been destroyed: corruption, poverty, insecurity, unemployment. But even aside, what are the things we are actually trying to put in place? We've come to a point, we've come to realize that if anything is working, then we should be at our comfort zones. When the youth came out for protest, what happened to them? So in a situation like that, when of course we want our voice to be heard, we have issues bothering the youth, we have things that we're actually going through. But even when we try to speak up, what are the solutions they are offering us? What is Nigerians? What are we doing to this? Those are questions we need to ask ourselves. Of course, the problems of Nigerians, we can't say, okay, it's about bad governance, it's about this and that. We all have our own parts to play. We all have roles to play. But when it comes about youth, the Nigerians youth are not encouraged any longer. At a point when the president called lazy Nigerian youth, I wasn't surprised. We were starting pictures on social media, people carrying bags of cement, like trying to prove a point. But in another manner, it might not necessarily, that might not be the way out. Because in a situation where, of course, we go to school, we've understand that education is the key. But even in school, what is going on in the school? What is happening to the schools and to the school section? The section talked about entrepreneurship. I remember when I did my entrepreneurship course. So you are just you're supposed to pick one or two craft, one or two skills. Then you take a picture. So it was very easy. We just went to a salon. I took a picture, like trying to tell my lecturer I was making A, and I submitted. I think I had A in the course. It was easy as that. So even we just go to school to, of course, get that certificate, because we understand that Nigerians of today, all we need is, it's no longer about certificate. Before now, of course, they look at your qualifications, they understand how this is what you do, this is what you're capable. It's no longer like that, because in Nigeria today, you found out that it is when somebody that knows somebody, that is when you get the job. So in a situation when we know that the whole system is messed up, then youths are no longer encouraged. We go to school, all we go to do is la cram la pour. Because we know that even if we read, we take our time to read. Most times, it's not what we read. It's not your discipline that you're going to work with. So even when we come out, we're just always striving to get any job. And another thing is, aside the job, everything we're looking for is money. The leaders, the system, everyone, we're all looking for money. So even if we get the job, it is money. So people that actually got the job, they are complaining that they are not getting satisfaction. People that got the job are complaining. So people that don't have the job, what should they do? So Nigerian youth, I just believe the things we need to do is Nigerian youth need to be encouraged. a lot of things need to be put in place before we can, before Nigerian youth can say, of course, we are having a better future. And if you're saying we are the future leaders of tomorrow, where is our role? What are they doing to help us? Nothing. If I go on and on to talk about this, then we start bringing a lot of things. Why do you have? Of course, I'm not going to support crimes issues. I'm not going to support youth being irresponsible. But of course, when you sit down deeply, you find out that a lot of problems we are facing are also problems of Nigeria. It is because of the problem we have on ground. That is, and the one problem we have. We keep looking at that, and before we began to have more problems. So for now, I think I need to take a break to talk about that later. But the problems, youth, we're striving to engage ourselves, but no one is encouraging us. No one is encouraging us. So we found ourselves in a system whereby they just want to use you, and it is well. It is well. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm going to take you up on, when you come for the next, because this is mainly about you, the new intakes, want to give you this platform, give you that voice. And I'm happy that you did make mention of it, that nobody is giving the youths a chance, that they just want to use them, and also that is where Pride seeks to be different, because we want to make you actually the central, a central focus of quite a lot of things that we do. And I really appreciate the passion with which you spoke. And I know you did say again and again, you kept repeating, nobody is encouraging the youth and also. So I'm going to take you up on that much later to ask you, how do you mean, what are the things that have led you to that conclusion, and what can be done to change that narrative and to, we're going to give you quite a lot of time to express yourself and the new class. So I'm going to go to Abidemi now on this same issue. What is wrong? How can we make it right? Abidemi.
Good evening, Mr. Convener. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
If you permit me, I think I would like to start from a somewhat theoretical academic point, right? Basically, I just want, if I rephrase the question, how did the youth got disengaged? Right, and there is somewhat a theory around disengagement. This disengagement theory basically states that people start life trying to achieve a goal, right? And when they fail to achieve that goal, which is the next level, they give up on the goal, they keep away from their goal, and they try to engage new goals. And that explains why youth appear to be jackpying now. That's how I really go, right? Because what you have is that we were told, right? Don't forget that for every human being, we live by expectation, and that's why any man that lack hope is dead. He cannot achieve anything. And the expectation that has been set for us as youth was that go to school, be a good boy, obey the rules, and your end will be good. Now, when people go through that process and they didn't achieve the desired results, then you have the first issue, mistrust in the authority that gave them that's the way. It means that I cannot trust what this person tells me again, because I've spent 20 years going through the school structure, which they told me that if I go through, I will get this result, and I didn't get that result. So there is no basis to trust that person again. So you have first thing breakdown or leadership mistrust, right? And where there is mistrust of leadership, and these youths are mostly not yet fully formed, then they take decision that you might see that are not, they may not be totally. And what you typically see is that they begin to act in a deviant way, right? The issue around Cubana and all of that, I have a slightly different view. The fact that they spend money anyhow does not mean that the money was not clean, right? It could even be their own way to shame the system, right? So basically, this is how I say it. So, and first thing is that it boils down to the structure of the society, right? Our educational system, the system through which you've developed these youths. You tell them this is what it is, but they go out, it is a different thing. Then how can they? So it means that the time they are spent preparing themselves is a waste of time, right? So they would rather look for, it's just, we are all farmers, right? If you farm on this soil and you did not get good harvest, you look for another farm. It's simple, natural human thinking, right? You see this thing everywhere. I hear a lot of things that, oh, our schools are too theoretical, but for me, they are not theoretical. The problem is that the managers of our environment have managed the environment in such a way that is not ideal, right? There is a way, there are 3 steps to achieve certain things. It is true. And that's what we were taught in school. But you get out because of the faulty structure in the society, the civil servant that is supposed to aid your processing and process as an entrepreneur, because there is also experiencing a faulty structure where he's getting a salary that cannot take him home, and he needs to get money to get home. Then he's introducing things that are not ideal, that was not part of what you are taught. And that's where you now begin to find the dissonance, right? And what you see is this: unfortunately, the reality are not things you can teach, right? If you go into some coaching classes, they will tell you this is Nigeria, this is how you do this thing, but they will not tell you in a formal class this is how it is, right? Nobody will tell you that if you want to get a license from NMPC, it's not all about having a very good plan. It's about how well you can oil the machinery. You want to get oil, but you first have to oil the process of getting the oil. So basically, those are not things we can come out to teach, and that's where you have the dissonance. And that's why you will see that in our environment, it appears that the miscreants are the ones succeeding, right? Because they are not in tune with your normal structure, the ideal situation. And that's why they call the street smartness. So most of our youth, unfortunately, are not street smart. I was thinking about this morning. I see a lot of things going on social media. Oh, there's an election today in Lagos. Youth are not coming out. I'm like, how do you expect them to come out? These are people that were driven from their home to schools, unlike the older generation that walk to school. These are people that are carried all through their lives. Now you are now doing an election, you want them to walk to polling booths. It will never happen because they are not used to that. Put it on their phone and you will see their participation, right? Which takes me to the next issue: engagement process, engagement channels, right? You cannot, right? In Yoruba, they will tell you, in Yoruba philosophy, they will tell you that which means that is the dog of this season that knows how to chase the animal in the bush, or that can hunt the kind of animal that are in the bush this season. Which means, you can see this is an old adage. It means that even animals, we used to use animals to hunt, and dogs to hunt animals. When hunters are going, they go with their dog, and their dog help them with hunting. So it means that even the development of the rats in the bush in this season are different. It's totally different from the rat of the bush to hunt the rat of this season. So you cannot bring old methodology continue to put old system in place and expect that your objects, the object of your strategy, will respond adequately. It will never happen. We do this thing in business. It's just like anybody that wants to do business today just say, oh, it is TV and radio alone that we use to advertise our product. That's how it has always been. We never reach the intended customer, right? So you have to follow, and that's what is lacking. And it's clear that the older generation are not ready to do the hard work, right? And the other thing is that there are no opportunity, or in every environment, for you to get the right action, you must touch, right? It is the kind of behavior that is rewarded in any environment that people we display, or that we get displayed or action in that environment. You see, these same people we are talking about, that we run our youth down and all of it. What's the difference? The system, the opportunity, the reward. They know that if I work, I will get reward. Not that one person will work, but we are here to do the work. We have against the youth is that they are disrespectful, but they don't believe in patronizing. That was the old structure. The new structure, someone is delivering the value, and you feel, oh, because it's calling me Bidemi instead of Mr. Bidemi, because he's not carrying my bag, and all of that is disrespectful. Because of that, you are not allowing him to get the reward for his hard work. Then you now come back to say, because the moment your behavior is a chain of action and reaction, the moment you introduce that, the child, the young guy will change, right? And the moment he changes, you now point to that. And of course, until that cycle is broken, it will continue like that until he ages. And of course, clearly we have leadership responsibility in our environment. Everywhere you turn to, people who are supposed to build the environment, they are blaming the youth. Is it the youth that is being paid salary to run this nation? The answer is no. Right? Recently, see what happened at the National Assembly, where people said, we cannot transmit stuff. And I was disappointed by the presentation by the NCC leadership. You cannot imagine, those are the people driving the technology in this country. So would you blame the youth? Those people I saw there are above 50. They are not youth, right? And they clearly, what the National Assembly has demonstrated is that we are not ready to make Nigeria work, right? Basically, that is not how to drive an environment. And the moment as a leader, you drive an environment in a way that is suboptimal, the people that want to get reward get frustrated and they check out. It happens in companies, it happens in families. If you as a father, you are not doing well, your wife will pack out, your children will pack out and look for something better. So what we have in Nigeria is not peculiar, it's not unusual, it is reality, and it is normal and proper human dynamics. So really, the responsibility of the leader, we see them over and over again. And of course, there was, I think in the build-up to 2015 election, one of our former leaders who wanted to contest then made a very significant statement that the youth are not ready for leadership. And people went on that. Of course, the person that won also said youth are lazy. But the truth is this, and I had the opportunity to speak at a seminar at that point in time, and I asked one question. If a man, right, was ready for marriage at 25, right? Don't forget, he was trained by his father for him to be ready at 25. If he now come out and to say that his own son is not mature enough to marry at 45, whose responsibility is his failure? He has failed to give to his children what his father gave to him. And we must take, the leaders must take responsibility. The older generation must take responsibility and start to prepare their grave, because youth will spit on their grave when it happens. I was just thinking about it this morning. I was just like, oh, in this environment, once you have people in power, they do and undo, and they use the power of the state to suppress people's opinion. I said, like, okay, why don't we do something? How can we promote a platform where after they have left office, we will not allow them to rest it? We begin to document for posterity all the nonsense they did that we could not talk while they were in office. Let them sit in their house and be sending TSS, right? Because what happened is that it appears that once one jester come into the arena and he does all his thing, he leaves, and we talk, we avoid what we can say and all of that. Another jester comes and we allow him to go and rest in his house. We should not allow them to rest. We should create a more of like a burial ground for their misdeeds while they were in office, so that after office, that's the time we should be telling them, so that will serve as an incentive for people coming behind, that it does not end in office, except you die there. Even if you die there, we are going to document it for posterity and for your children not to be coming out and be saying their father was this and that. We need to change the narrative. What is definition of success? It is after you have gone that we will now say this, whether this man was successful or not. And if you ask what's the solution to all of this, for me, is strategy, strategy, strategy. And when I talk about strategy, it's not about all this nonsense that we hear, Vision 2020, Vision 3030. It is a strategy that works, that we see, right? A strategy is not what is on paper. A strategy is the reality that people in the environment experience. What is the purpose of our community existence? What is the essence of our nationality? Until we answer that question, and basically, people you see around may not be going about it the right way. That's basically what Igboho, Nnamdi Kanu of this was saying. They can't see. If I can't see what this is all about, why don't let me just find another level where I can see? I don't want, what they are saying is that I'm not running away. Like someone will say, Johnny Leini, we own this land together. So if I cannot get the desired result with you, then let me go my way and go make something out of my stuff. The approach may not be right, their language may not be right, but the message is very, very clear, and we need to leave the messenger and focus on the message and address the issue. What is the vision for tomorrow? What kind of Nigerians are we building for tomorrow? Is it a Nigeria that is ruled by the children of the old guards? No. No. There are certain things we should do. In strategy, you do strategic analysis. One of the things you need to do when you are doing your competitors analysis, you need to go where they are going to. What is it that is there that is attracting them? Then let's start to build those structures here. You see people here, they will spend 20 years, they cannot become manager in the organization they are working. If they go out there, despite the fact that we say they are treating them as second citizen, in 4 years, 5 years, what they could not achieve here in 15 years, 20 years, they achieve it in 3, 4, 5 years. Then that's where they are being treated as second-class citizen, not where they are first-class citizen. Now, what should you expect if they are being treated as first-class citizen? Then something is wrong somewhere. We need to do the hard work, and we need to do the hard work, and we need to understand exactly what we are doing. And of course, understanding it means everybody must understand it. Engagement, and engagement. I stop here, sir.
Oh my God, that was really. I didn't even know it was a director of budget, because there were two academies showing up. So Until he came on, I didn't know it was him. And honestly, thank you so much for throwing quite a lot of light on this. And I'm happy that the passion is brimming. Everybody. It's I like the way the angle. Everybody that has spoken thus far, we're not just talking about just saying the kind of things that people say all the time, the complaints people make all the time, the same things people repeat all the time. But we're actually going in depth into the cause of the problem, into the solutions, and also trying to. We're not laying the blame per se. We're just saying, this is it. And I like the fact that everybody's preferring solutions. We're still going to come to you. You did make mention of something that you have a contrary opinion to the Obi Kubana thing. They may even be throwing the money to shame the system. That is one of the. I wasn't quite clear on that, and I think there might be one or two people out there who might not have been quite clear about what that meant. It's just for clarification, just so when you come back, we're going to take you up on that. But I want to thank you for that. We've got quite a lot of people to go through, but let's not forget today is mainly about the newer ones, so we're going to give them a bit more time. I'm going to call you in order of your of the joining. So I'm going to go to Olani Imudashiru. If your microphone is on, I'm suspecting the audio might not be on. Olani Mudashiru, I suspect is audio might not be on there, so we're not having an audio feed from his end, so I think there's a problem with his connection, but that's fine. I'll go to our comrade Almaroof. If you just unmute yourself and let's hear from you. Otherwise, if I'm not getting... Oh, fantastic. If your connection is good, holding off, yeah?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Maruf. Go on.
So I don't really know much about the topic. So can you please just enlighten me a bit?
Yeah, okay, we'll come back to you on that, Amaruf. Basically we're talking about the youth today. We'll come back to you. Just follow, and then maybe in about 30 minutes or thereabout, we'll come back to you, and you probably just have the chance to say something about it. But I'm just gonna go straight away to Comrade Kenny Okunuga. Kenny, let's hear from you on this topic.
Good evening, sirs.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. And thank you for the coordination of this session again, and for all you are doing to promote Pride. I also appreciate the earlier speakers. And there is almost nothing they had said that anyone had said that I'm against. The issue we are having has to do with our value system. And there is so much of false belief in town. Number one, we have so much belief that only public office holders are criminals. 1, 2, we believe that private citizens, or that it is envious or a kind of beef questioning private citizens who are millionaires, who are philanthropists, who are billionaires and who have their businesses. So we don't want to question them. And that every public office holder is a criminal. And that is why even people who have conscience, people who have the willingness, people who have the right intention to go there and do well, are trying to take the back seat because of the blackmail, to avoid blackmail and to avoid some of the things that may not be so good, to their integrity. Also, in this country, we have now exalted smart work, over hard work. We have misdefined, we have wrongly defined what the concepts behind that smart work. That it is not about being lazy. It is not about being fraudulent. It is not about doing yahoo yahoo. It is not about taking things that do not ordinarily belong to you, but that it is about combining your intelligence and being smart even when you are doing your work so hard. Now, people who are farmers, people who are into constructions, we have made them, some of us have made them, lose that courage, that willingness to continue to doing those works, because we are now differentiating. We are now saying that those who do those kind of works are into labor. We call them laborers, and nobody wants to labor again. Whereas those areas are exactly where there is money, sustainable. Again, one of the false beliefs that has been so entrenched in our system is that we now teach people, we exalt so many kinds of negative things. I do not want to talk about Cubana, because as much as I give people freedom, I allow people, I feel that people have the freedom to spend their money anyhow. If you are from Anambra, or if we are people who are following events, from that side, not only from or in Anambra, we have Imo, we have Abia, people from the southeast, we know that they are very exorbitant in spending. They are very exorbitant in spending. But then, can we please differentiate between them, between the billionaires of that side and the billionaires of this place? I heard about the video that Cubana did. In fact, I saw where he spoke, and everything he continued to say is that hard work. He continued to hammer on hard work. And that is to say that, see, you may have seen me spend all those things. You may have seen me, I was exorbitant, in the burial of the mother, but I worked for it. I did not steal the money. And the message that he has passed after then, I think matters more to somebody like me, who have been able to follow the event critically and very seriously. The billionaires of this place, what have they done to the system? How are they contributing to the system? We heard that Cubana usually would go to his place and he would take people to Lagos, he will connect them. Are people here connecting people to where they can get money? So it is only those who only watched the party and then, evaporated from the scene, went off from the scene, that will not get the message. The message that I've been able to get against the opinions of others is that, see, this man is coming out to say that you can be a billionaire, you can be a trillionaire if you work hard. You can be a billionaire, you can be good, if you help others. That is more like a better message to me than saying that it was frivolous or it was too exorbitant. Everybody, even those who are not here, they also spend, they spend their monies also the way they like. So part of the false beliefs that I feel that we have to set away, we have to get ourselves detached from, is that, number one, private citizens who spend their money are thieves, are fraudulent. 1, 2, that private citizens cannot be questioned. One of the false beliefs is that if I'm a policeman, I should not attend programs, programs organized by my friends, because I'm a law enforcement agent, because I'm catching thieves. So when my friends are doing something, people that we grow up together, that I know very well, when they are doing something, because I don't want somebody from the north or from the southwest or southeast to say anything about me or to criminalize my efforts. So I will not be found here. There is a place for friendship. And like I told someone very recently, I said, GAHRD also has his own circle of friends. And it cannot be deliberately, denied of associating, of that freedom of association with his friends, with his people.
Okay.
So I hope that as the discussion continues, I'll also be able to throw more light into some of those things that I've mentioned that are great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. DSG. I really appreciate that perspective. You've thrown quite a few things out there. You've mentioned about, you've talked about the spending, you've talked about GAHRD, which is one of the critical things that people have been talking about. And of course, we've always talked about the perception as a public officer, as a public law officer. Would it in other climes, in the democracies we try to copy, would it be right for a chief law officer to be number one? Even what happened in that place that day was against the law. In terms of the Central Bank of Nigeria actually came out with a law. They're the ones who manage the monetary policy of the country, and who are actually in charge of the currency. And they actually came out with a law. And as at today, and even as at that day that event occurred, it was illegal. It was a crime. It wasn't just a civil offense. It was a criminal offense to spray money in Nigeria as at the date of that event. And so when one of the most prominent law officers of the country happens to be present in such a place, and the law is openly broken or bent or squeezed, whatever way you want to call it, those are the things that people question. I don't believe that anyone has a right to say a policeman should not have friends. You'll be surprised that even policemen have many criminals as friends, so yeah, so these are quite a lot of things we'll discuss, and I can see Comrade Shola Fahimi putting there, even an armed robber that's yet to be caught will portray hard work as the way our value system is faulty. Those are the kind of things we're going to have these conversations. We have up till 8 o'clock here, so we still got about 40 minutes to go, so we'll discuss all of them. I'm just going to give the opportunity to those who are yet to air their opinion on this. I believe, I think I saw Comrade Urban, but I think his connection has probably not held up. He's been in and out. If he does come back, but I'm going to call Comrade Taiwo Okonoga now, and then I'll go back to who I'll call one of our main speakers for today, Miss Anu Adepoju, so because we need to be able to, like we promised them, that they newbies will be able to give them a bit more time to express themselves on this. So, Comrade Taiwo Okonoga, let's hear your views on this. Hello, Taiwo. Okay, I believe there's a problem with that connection. Okay, have you managed to sort it? I think his connection is very bad, very dodgy. I think the connection is really, really dodgy.
Good evening. Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
Yeah.
I think your connection is very bad, so I might have to just move on to the next person. Just please hang on there. Let's see if we can maybe, or let try again. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I think his connection is just not holding up. Okay, okay, his connection is really not holding up, so just for the sake of this, we need to move on so we can get to call somebody else, and I'm gonna call I'm going to go back to Miss Anwadi, but you've heard everything everybody has said. What is your take on it? And in particular, that bit you talked about, the youth and what your perception is. What can you actually make of what everybody has said, and how, definitely looking at definite solutions, how can we change the narrative? How can Nigeria actually give the youth a sense of belonging, make them believe that there is hope in the nation? With particular reference to Comrade Abidemi Onajobi's narrative, he did say something about, it's if your father had if a man had proper training from his own parents and was not able to give the same thing to his own children, so is it the older ones are actually at fault? Because the older ones actually blame the youth. That's the reality of our existence. They actually blame them, and that's why I don't know whether it was a section or someone who made reference to the lazy Nigerian youth statement of our incumbent President Muhammadu Buhari, who said that lazy Nigerian youth. But it was surprising, and of course I know that Comrade Abidemi Onajobi did make mention that yesterday, assuming the elections were online, that the youth would have voted. But the fact is, leadership is never ever given. It's let me put it this way: snatching the authority, the mace of authority from the oppressed, has never been a tea party. From the oppressor, has never ever been a tea party. It's always been a deliberate act, and an act that is actually pursued and actually executed. If indeed the youth actually want this leadership so badly, because it is with this leadership that we can actually change things. We can shout all we want from the sidelines. It ain't going to change anything down there. And I remember when I was it secondary school or primary school, the Ghanaians were everywhere in Nigeria. I remember them with their bicycles, those bicycles that had the glass in front, that had that, like, was it square or rectangular, and then they had this thing in front, and then they would stop in our school, they would sell puff buns and all these things. They were the ones who did quite a lot of all those jobs in Nigeria, and they were everywhere. They were teaching in my school. I remember many of the teachers were Ghanaians, but yet it took one or two leaders of that country to change a lot of things around. And of course, it's also tallied with the period where people in Nigeria were also shouting Ghana must go. And that's where we got the names of those bags from Ghana must go. And those were the things apparently that they were using to pack quite a lot of their stuff back home. So, and then all of a sudden, some fantastic leaders just came up, changed the story of Ghana. And then Ghanaians wanted to go back to Ghana. So how can Nigerian youth expect that those same people who don't actually want to change, who don't want to give up the leadership, who don't want to give up the system to them, will now all of a sudden sit down in the National Assembly and decide that, we want to allow online voting now so that it will be easy for the youth to vote, knowing full well that if the youth can vote online, all they need to do is the same app, the same phone they're using to connect to Twitter and Instagram and dictating the conversation everywhere. All they need to do is just make these connections, and pam, the leadership switch. It will switch hands from the geroncratic ones, or what people will say geriatric, but I wouldn't use that word, but the older ones to the younger ones. It will switch, and so it is definite that they won't allow you to switch. And these things are evident from the resolutions on the electoral bill, that the electoral acts that he discussed during the week, and in the last few weeks anyway. You just know that the things that would actually give control from those in rulership to those who want that power, they'll do everything to. So how can we bridge this gap where the leaders believe the youths are the ones responsible for their own issues? And the youths actually believe that it is the leaders of Nigeria that are selfish, that are wicked, that do not care about them, that do not want to. And many youths will tell you, quote and unquote, that the leaders don't want to give the leadership to them, even though we know as a leader you're not going to give it to them. how can we solve this problem? What are the things we can do to change things around? Let's start with you, Miss Anu Adepoju. Over to you. Susie Adepoju, just unmute yourself. Okay, if we're not getting a feed from that line, I'll just start with the SecGen first, and then we go around again. We have this conversation. When she sorts out that connection, then she can actually join us. Mrs. SecGen, let's start with you. Hello. I believe you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Same vein. I want to. Hello.
Yeah, go on. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, I said I want to appreciate the previous speakers and people who have heard their views on the subject under discussion. Like you said, sir, let me refresh our mind back to the popular maxim that youth are the leaders of tomorrow. Many of us have been hearing this slogan, this maxim, since we were young. And the question has always been, we've always been asking the same question, even as at now. Where are those youths that they claim are the leaders of tomorrow? That if we were the leaders of tomorrow as at 20, 30 years ago, we are expected to be leaders of today. Fine, many youths are leaders in different theaters of endeavor. But looking at the political space, the political structure that controls the happenings in our national politics and in how our nation is being governed, where are these positions that have been abridged or allocated to the youth? If you look at many of our party structures as we have it in today's system, the youth leader of any political party has time to be corrected. It's not somebody that is less than 45 or 47 years old. And if they are looking at youth, we are expected to put vibrant minds who truly by status and by nature depicts what we call youth in a position of authority. But situations where they are being deprived of that sensitive positions, or they are deprived of platform where they can be put to actually change the scenario and change the periscope, things are not being done. And if you now look at another situation where many youth who have had opportunities of being in a position of authority. I have my brother, my body, who was once the Speaker of the National Assembly. We have so many youth who are currently the speakers of different House of Assembly. We have currently in Oyo State, the person who is the speaker is less than 35 years old. Expectations are always very high. Looking up to these people to actually do things differently, looking up to them to actually change the narrative, looking up to them to actually project the better way of doing things. But in most cases, reverse is always the case. The questions have always been to the same thing. Where did we now get it wrong? I've seen in a society, in a situation like this, in a country with so many dignities, where people are bred with correct value system, a very Yoruba culture and normal abusing. But once people get to a position of authority, their value system, their orientation change. You see somebody who have been upright. We've seen comrades, even when they are in the University of Learning, many of them are either in the right or the left of student struggle, who will always be in the forefront of a looter. But once they see money, once they get to a position of authority, their value system change. Now, the question is, what is responsible or what are responsible for this change or paradigm shift in our value system as youth when we get to a position of authority? Then we're beginning to look at the complexity of the system or the complexity of the paraphernalia where people are once they get into a position of authority. That's to tell you that our system is still faulty. Because you get to a public service, you get to a ministry where the director will tell you that our minister or the commissioner, without you changing figures, you cannot make headway in this ministry. You get to a place where you meet an elderly person that will tell you, when were you born? How do you know that this ministry is being run? You are made a commissioner, but this ministry will definitely outlive you. We've had so and so people who have become commissioners in this ministry. This is how things is being done. If you are not ready to do it, these people are ready to frustrate you out of office. And eventually they make you look as the bad person. So our system is all encompassing. The system in Nigeria political space, the system in Nigeria, public service is very complex. It is until when we go to the roots and change people's mindset. I heard the Mr. President saying that corruption is this, he has realized over time is people's perception about corruption, that the system is not corrupted. And I remember when he came on board, one of his core focal points was to tackle corruption amidst, security and amidst economic advancement. But where we are today, has that corruption been completely tackled? No. We've seen people, we've seen governors giving dollars to people. We've seen pictures of so many other people being alleged of corruptions. But as we speak, as it is now, nobody has been completely prosecuted. We have people in government who have been accused of different cases of corruption, but these things have not been done. That's to tell us that once you get to a position of authority, there's some kind of lifestyle that when you leave or when you join some certain of caucus, automatically your value system will change. You're beginning to see things differently. I was having some conversation with some colleagues over time. I said that people are gapping out of this country. There are some people till tomorrow, they will never leave this nation because they are part of the system. And if you see, you can only criticize, I've read over time that people criticize the system that does not favor them. And where the majority are beginning to now look at it, that Nigeria is not working. Things are not going, the way we expected. And the treasure, the commonwealth of this nation have been the hands of limited few who are now directing the affairs of things in our country. And those people, they believe everything is normal. They believe things are right. That was why I heard the governor when they were going, they had a local government election in Ogun State. And the governor in Ogun State was going around all the local government campaigning. It was then he publicly apologized to people in Ogun State that I never knew that roads were this bad. The question now asks that, what are the function of the commissioners? What are the function of the SAs who are closer to the grassroots? Is it that they don't go to their constituencies again when they become commissioners or SA to the governor? What are the things they discuss at their state executive meetings? Where are these things? Our value system, like I said, will continue to hammer on our value system as a nation, our value system as a people. That something is actually wrong with us. Once we get some certain things, people tend, to change their way they relate with people. That is when you see the former honorable, an honorable member before he became an honorable member. He will go to Nooks and Cranny, he will campaign. And once he becomes an honorable representing the House, representing the people in the House Assembly, we buy an SUV. And we no longer know that the roads are bad. We, leave the community that voted him into power. If he stayed in government house, if he stayed in House Assembly quarters, and then his value system, his orientation is going to change. So we're beginning to see as part of the people that are controlling the wealth of the nation. So we no longer feel that people are unemployed. We no longer feel that youth must be empowered. Rather than coming to them after 4 years, give them wheelbarrows, give them money for recharge card, or give them 10,000 naira to get their vote. But people will beginning to change and, they are thinking from the fundamentals. In a situation where people are not well informed, where youth are not empowered, where youth are not strategically put in a position of authority, and give them, Yoruba we say, that is to tell you that if you give people ram, or if you give them goat, you give them with the rope, or you put youth in a position of authority, or we have some stakeholder, we have some godfather somewhere, who will still be saying, no, you cannot just be there. We put you there. So we understand how it is run. This is what you're expected to do. Where situations like that keep occurring in our nation, we cannot get it right. Youth are expected to be leaders. Youth are expected to get, to change the periscope, to change the narrative. But where people are not giving up opportunities of doing what is right, eventually we continue to get it wrong. We need to go to the root. We need to, uproot. That's what we call a tree system. What we always see is just the branches. But the root controls what we see at the branches. So if the true root system is not well addressed, our nation will still continue this cycle. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. You've touched on quite a lot of things, and these are very, very valid things there. And these things continue to call into question quite a lot of the way we do things. And I hope someone out there, those who are following us on social media, and those of you, and even those who watch this video in years to come, that's the thing with they say social media never forgives, it never forgets. Once a video goes live on social media, it might be there for hundreds of years, So someone will be watching this same video playback maybe in 10 years, in 15 years, and they'll be judging us by these words that we speak today, because I know some of you here will find yourselves in government someday by God's grace. And I hope that we're able to make that change, because we all know the things that are wrong with our nation. But like Comrade Fayemi said, even some of those we have trusted, who have come from more or less our constituency, the constituency of the struggle, of the fight for a just, a corruption-free, and a liberal society, a society where equity, a society where, everyone stands before the law, the same height, the same stature, irrespective of their class in life. But then many people just get into government and they forget this. And we keep talking about the youth, and every time I'm always quick to remind us that the member of the House of Reps who got the dollars in his cap from Femi Otedola, who went to try to get Otedola to bribe him, it's more or less from our, I believe he was in his 40s or thereabout when that happened. So that's from our constituency, the youth. Dimeji Bankole was from our constituency as the youth. The governor of Kogi State, who unfortunately, it just shows us, I know some out there who will be watching this will disagree, and that is absolutely fine. That is why Pride is different. We know that people can have different attitudes to the conversations. People can have different perspectives, different opinions. It is a shame of a nation in an ideal democracy. The governor of Kogi State, the same one who made us laugh a lot when the COVID-19 thing started, and who came out to say, well, they had something and there was no COVID case in Kogi, and they asked, what's the evidence? I just says, the app tells, it was just ludicrous. The same state where in the midst of hunger, someone, put a tax on bread, which is the staple of many poor people. At least once they get bread, they know they will, with beans or something, at least they can have a meal. The same one that we can't actually point to quite anything significant other than, because if you're elected a governor, you're elected to work anyway. So if you do a few bridges here and there and a few buildings or one hospital out there, it doesn't qualify you. But it is the shame of a nation. That person has come forward to want to use my own slot, your own slot, the slot. When I say my own, your own slot, I'm saying the youth, because that is what is trying to stand on that. It is time for the youth, and he wants to be our representative. He wants to use our slot as the youth, to be president of Nigeria. It just shows you it's a laughable country, and it boils down further to our value system. I'm gonna go. Kenny Okunuka, I can see your hand is up, but I'm just gonna go to Abidemi Onojobi and then come to you and then go to Kende Akonde. Just try to give everybody a chance. I don't know if Comrade Oban joins back. I would also give him the room. I believe I know Adepoju we can't get out. Tosin Adepoju can't get out to talk. I think there's a problem with our line. So let me go to Abidemi Onojobi first, and then after that I go to Kenny Okunuga, and then go to Kende Akonde. So Bidemi, let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you once again. I think for me, I find myself defending the youth this night. For me, I think we are asking for too much, and the fact still remains that to whom much is given, much is expected. To the person you have not given anything, ideally, it's not fair to expect so much. Right, and basically, if you hear about the few youths that are in the arena, they have not represented us well and all of that. The question is, how did they get there? Were they there to represent the youth, or they were there as bag-carrying men for their fathers and their uncles? Really, they are different. A person will have several linkages to a position, right? And of course, they come with those nonsensical justification because someone is young and is coming into a position. Is it there because he's a youth, right? And if he's not there because he's a youth, then you don't expect him to represent the youth, because that's not what he represents. So when it comes to politics, it comes about ascendancy, it's about representation, right? So we see brilliant people come in and all of that. How did he get there? And who is he there to represent? A good man that is representing a bad person will not behave in a good way. If you see a brilliant, good lawyer representing a fraudulent client in court, will not, because you want to defend this, is a matter of interest. And this is where we need to pay attention. Like again, I go back to Yoruba philosophy, they say, you see someone that has a crooked leg, and you are saying the load is carrying on his leg, head is bent, that he should adjust. And the man is saying, no, don't look at the load, look at my leg. My leg is not straight. There is nothing I carry on my leg that can be straight, because by my posture, my structure is not straight. So we come back to the issue of structure. If you don't create a structure that is meritorious, then we continue to have the charlatans we are having. It doesn't matter. The people that are there today, did they get there as old people? They got there as youth. And how they got there is what is driving how they are behaving. So whether you like it or not, if we give opportunity to young people, let them go to Harvard and come back. If how they enter into that office is wrong, then you don't expect the right result from them. Because someone that is being sponsored by a money bag, and he has been told that, oh, we have settled ships, so, we have settled leaders, so, and all of this. When he gets into the office, they are going to recoup investment. So there is no way, and that's why when you see what happened in other climes, we saw the Obama campaign, right? It was funded, it was crowdfunded, right? So because of that, there is no singular person to hold him to the jugular. There is nobody he has signed resignation letter or data resignation letter for. So these are some of it. And we saw in Lagos State someone that they said he did not follow the established pattern or the master plan, right? That's what happened. So if you want to succeed, then it means the cost of success. I was somewhere in the last 2 weeks, and someone's like, oh, you guys, it's your turn, we've done our best. And I asked myself, do I want to get into this? It's not the right thing to do. If you don't create the right structure to get into a position today, people are talking about 2023. What are the considerations? Competence is not the consideration. It's a matter of, oh, this person has paid. We talk about paying dues. What dues? It's not about selection. It's election. Present. And again, we complain that, okay, there are voters' apathy. Why wouldn't there be voter apathy when all of you that came, nobody is selling any idea? Nobody is selling anything, right? We have Mr. Integrity, a forthright person. Deny his manifesto that he didn't promise anything. So how do you expect people to now trust the system when the person they see as Mr. Integrity is denying his promise because he did not make personal promise? Whereas, according to the rules governing the game, it is the party that sponsors you into office. And the party made that promise. And you're saying, no, it's not, you didn't make that promise. So, really, there are many structural issues, right? Unfortunately, there are very few, they are not evident role models to look at. Because if you notice the migration of youth, you will see, go back, if you check the record very well, I don't have the facts, but if you check the record very well, you will see that it increased from 2016. What does that tell you? It means something happened 2015, hopes were raised, and people just felt, oh, if we couldn't have it under this man, then let's just forget it. Let's go back home. That's what has happened. So now you had people's hope raised, and that hope was dashed, right? And we still pretend it's okay because the man is not stealing. Is it about stealing? Right? The man is not stealing, but the budget template has not changed. And people don't just go to CBN to steal money. It is through budgets, right? The amount we heard, okay, when I get into office, the cost of presidential fleet will go down, but it has gone up. It has not come down. Right? So what is it? Until the structure is changed, until we allow the system to run. Because what happened is that we have what you typically call a managed system, right? Until that system is allowed to run and people can come and people say, oh, some people are doing campaign on social media. Ideally, is it not where you have majority of the people? The social media population in Nigeria is, I think, is over 30, 40 million, right? Are you saying that that's not a good constituency to focus on? But why the social media campaign is not working is because those managing the structure are not allowing the impact. But the social media worked in 2014, 2015. It was the social media that brought us here. So when we say things are not, when we look at the metrics, the parameters, we will see that those generalizations are really not true. The generalization we have about the youth are really not true. Give them the platform. People are not asking for, when they call for interview, you see thousands of youth appear. But you go behind the door and you now send senators list, House of Reps list, and all of that. After thousands of people have killed themselves, if you check, most times those that get the employee did not even show up at the interview at the stadium, right? And you still have the boldness to come out and blame these youth. I think things need to change. If people claim to have integrity, they need to demonstrate it. Until we have that, until there is confidence in the system, I think that's the word. We need to build confidence in the system. If there is no confidence in the system, you can blame anybody. If I don't have confidence in the system, there is no way I will do it. Even the Bible says I think what it says that they that come to God must believe that He is. Even that's God, though, not human being. Those that are coming to God must first believe that He is. How then do you now expect people to not to have the correct, when we know that the sound of Esau and voice of I don't know. So basically, I think we need to break down the wall of deception in this country, right? And this propaganda against the youth must stop. It's a big propaganda, and unfortunately, there are several youth that have joined in this thing and all of that. And I think it must just stop.
Thank you so much. You've suddenly turned to an advocate there. Now you've placed it, you've introduced another dimension to it. It's as if the youth are being victimized. The youth are being unduly terrorized or something, so
I think it's a suppression strategy. It's a suppression strategy. All of this campaign against the youth is intentional.
Yeah, but let me, I did make mention, because I know I have
to call it demarketing. They are demarketing the youth.
Yeah, but how would, because I know I'm mindful of the time, because we need to go to Kendi Okunuga, but and Kendi Akode. Now, but look, how is it demarketing the youth if we say that if the youth are waiting for the day that voting in an election will be via just their phone, just the press of a button? would that be demarcated? Because really, that's not going to happen. Those
Okay,
who
so
live, I'm
this
coming. Those who live in developed countries, even you see them, you see, look, in America, I think, there's that joke about the NYC acronym. They say, now your suffering continues or something, so, and the people of America now realize that if you are a minority, or if you're from the BAME, the Black and Minority Ethnic groupings, you needed to say something different when Trump was there, because something needed to change at that point. The world, it was becoming more and more dangerous for you to be of a person of color, even though, there was so much racial disharmony. This was nothing to do with white or black, because even many whites were not happy with the situation because it portrayed them in a negative light. And then you saw the queues in the election that ousted Donald Trump. The queues were so long, they snaked at times for kilometers, and people stayed out there, they persevered, and there were people who actually made the effort to actually get food out there. Even they were giving them food on the line, just like what happened if they can do that during the NSAS and sustain it, and then they were talking about forming a youth party doing things. Why is it that all the elections that have come out after that, the youths have not come out to vote? And the youths continue to complain on social media. In other countries, to make that change, I know that, look, even with the last election that brought Boris Johnson in the UK, for example, I do know that a lot of people that would not even ordinarily vote conservatives, they just got tired of the system. Do you get the point? People felt, they voted for this Brexit or against Brexit, and either way, it actually defined that election. So you found a lot of people coming out voting, So if Nigerian youth are not ready to vote and are continue to insist, wait for the day that election will be just at the press of a button on the phone, which might never come, how does that amount to victimization? Let's just say that in about 3 minutes, and then we'll go to Kenny Okunuga.
Okay, so this is the way I will respond, right? And your comment so far actually reinforces my opinion. Basically, this is the way I see it. Let me ask you a direct and personal question.
Yeah.
If a bank today approaches you and they tell you they want you to patronize them, they don't have internet banking, they don't have mobile banking, and they tell you, of course, they have good justification, there is serious cyber crime around, internet is not safe, and all of that. Will you patronize them?
And this is not me trying to be smart. I'll say it's very subjective. Because I do know that people like my grandmother and co, now there's nothing you can do to tell them to move their money away from Union Bank or First Bank. Even if you tell them the banks are correct, they will not listen.
And you are spot on. The answer is not a yes or no answer. You see, the generation you are mentioning, they are comfortable with the system in those institutions that you have just mentioned. Now, if you want to attract youth, you need to adopt channels, right, and strategy that will appeal to them, right? You cannot, okay, is it the youth that are in charge of the election? The answer is no. So you cannot blame them for intentional acts of leaders and the older ones to get them disengaged from the system, right? When these people want to engage youth, they know where they meet them. They know the channel that appeal to them. When they want to campaign to youth, they know the channel to go through, right? But when it now comes to empowering youth, giving youth access to participate, then you bring in different channels that you know they would ordinarily not patronize. The issue is this. I hear this a lot, that the people, we don't come to them, but they are not even talking of being fielded as candidates. That's where you can ask them to participate. They are talking of being given opportunity to vote in the way that is comfortable for them. For example, now, I will give you an example. I have two homes. I have my village home, I have my Lagos home, right? I can only vote in one of the locations. Now, based on life and hustle, I can only be in one place at the same time, at a time. Now, if I am in a location where my card is, I've already automatically, and that is the reality of youth. Mobility is very, very high for youth. Now, youth that have high mobility, some of them, they hang out in friends' home, they leave their parents' home, and they only go there once in a while to change clothes and do all of those things. That's the reality of this age. And you are now bringing an archaic system that shows that you are locked to this location. So if you are not doing it in this location, you are not doing it. So for me, I don't think, because some of these people, they run private organization, and in strategy, we all want to call omni-channel strategy, which means that your stakeholders will have very interest, they will have various characteristics, and you need to meet them where they are. Why is it that it must be only one channel that we can use to vote? We have gone beyond that. Like someone, let me close with this. Like someone said, he said it's okay to do internet banking, it's okay to do mobile banking, it's okay to send national identity through electronic channel, but it's not okay. They even claim they distributed people support loan through electronic channel, this same government, but it's not okay to do election through electronic channel because they know that it will destabilize their core advantage, which is what they are protecting. That's the issue. The older generation are protecting their core advantage over the youth. And we cannot continue to subscribe to that propaganda of blaming the youth for a system they are not in charge of.
Okay. Thank you so much, Comrade Abidemi Onojobi. That's very deep. We are going to definitely continue this conversation. Hopefully, we're going to have another session like this in August, where, by the grace of God, it should be an open session for members. Maybe I'll get one of you to moderate it, and I want to see through it. Just sit and just enjoy it, and if called upon, contribute as well, because these are very key things that we're talking about. And I'm happy you've brought up a lot of angles. But let us go to Kenny Okunuga and Kenny Akonde, and then air their opinions. Kenny, over to you.
Yes, I thank you again, sir. I don't want to waste much of our time. Mr. Abidemi has said some of the things that I would have loved to say. But then, for me, the issue is not really about the age. It has never been about the age. It has always been about the vision. Some of the names, some of the stars, political stars today, talk of Ashwabi Tinubu, talk of Buhari, Kyle Defayemi, all of those names, they entered into the political sphere as youths. So it is not that they got here when they at that old age, at their old age rather. Some of them grew inside that system. So it had never been about age. If it were, then some of us who supported Buhari in 2015 should be criminalized. But for crying out loud, I saw the vision. Yes, I saw the vision because I was not actually moved. Nobody, it was not that somebody gave me money. I had friends who spent their money on the Buhari campaign and they had never met Buhari before. So it was about the vision. Buhari came and said that, okay, our children, that the pupils should be given food. Buhari came and said that our infrastructure will be all right. Buhari came and said that that graduates who do not have job will be given stipends. Buhari came and said that he would have zero tolerance for corruption. So it was not about hate for me, it was about the vision. It was a vision. Now he's saying that, or he has come out to say that some of the things that people are saying that he said, that he actually did not say it. It is because of it is because of our values, and it now makes mockery of the reasons some of us supported him. And sometimes when I go through that statement over and over again, there were times that I would just be sympathizing for this country, for this nation, because it was like, why did I support him? Why did my friends support him? So we supported him because of all of these things. Now I looked at the political sphere today. There is really nobody that is motivating people. Gone are those days, people were motivated by the intelligence of Awolowo. They wanted to become like Awolowo, not because of the power he carried, but because of his approaches to issues, because of the intelligence he carried, because of some of the programs, some of the projects that he was able to execute. Few of these projects may not be his idea, but he was able to accommodate, all these things to better the southern region, the western region rather, the west. But some of them now, some of even our youth now, who are following politicians here and there, they are not motivated by the intelligence of these politicians, but they are motivated by the powers these people carry. They want to be like them, not because they accept that they are intelligent, not because they accept that they have proffered one or two solutions to the problems that are facing our country, not because they think that they have done good, but they are motivated because whenever they see them, they see security men shielding them. They see the honor that people give to them on the streets. They see the power they carry, and they also want to be in that shoe. So when these people now, unluckily for us, find their ways into those shoes, there is nothing they will do because they are not prepared for it. Today, even if you are a member of any political party, the parties will not flag you if you do not have money. So it has gone beyond ideas. It has gone beyond vision. It has now come to who can win, who can use his money, who can use his cash to win the next election for our party. And that is why when these people get there now, they do not have the slightest, the smallest of all respects for their party. Because they are the ones, it is no longer the party that makes them win. It is now them financing the party. It is now them, it is now them financing the parties to win the elections. And that is why the politicians get power and they step on toes. They do not respect party members. They say that they must be the party leaders. And this is, some of them unfortunately say they are waste. But I looked at it very well. I did not study history, but I'm a student of history. Many of them will say that they are waste, are not doing what Awolowo believed in. Awolowo believed in party supremacy. He believed in party supremacy, and that was the reason. Then we were not alive then. I was not alive. Let me speak for myself. I was not alive then, but I read that some of the programs that were executed in those days, the politicians will not say this is my program. They will say these are the programs of the action group. So it was more of ideological differences, between the action group and other parties. But now the struggle is now who want to hold on to power, who want to be in control of police, so that they can be using it to malign, to arrest, and to deal with their political opponents. So I have also come to the conclusion that the situation will not change. Not because the youths are not allowed, but because the youths have deliberately, intentionally decided to, one, either continue to follow these people who have no vision for them, and or when elections now come up on board, now come up, they say that they will not partake. Some of them who do not believe in these politicians, but are so frequent on the social media, whenever the election now comes, they say that they will not partake because the politicians will hijack the system. Who are the police? How old are they? Some of them who are in the police are youths. They are also feeling the heat. If the police or anybody, I don't like mentioning names or names of institutions, but assuming an election is holding today and I am in a polling unit and 100 youths who always complain about bad governance come out in my polling unit A, and I say polling unit B, and 50 youths who are not also happy about how things are run, they also come out. They refuse to stay in their rooms. Policemen cannot come, thugs cannot come to interrupt election in polling A, and also at the same time go to interrupt the election, the voting in polling unit B. How many polling units will they go to interrupt their voting? So it has to do with mass mobilization of members, the continuous orientating our people, our members. How many members applied? It will be saddening, to see that there is one member of Light who does not, up to this moment, has a voter's card. It will be saddening. It will be saddening that there is a member of our organization, who does not today, up to this time, believe in what we are doing here. It will be saddening to see that there is still a member of Pride up till this time who has not believed or who has not admitted or accepted that the little we are doing here is a form of contribution that we can make in our capacity towards the advancement of this country. For God's sake, there is hardly anything that is working in that country. I am always shocked when people say that Lagos is a mega city, and I looked at it very well. How close is Lagos to something, to a city or a state you can even call a mega city? A state where their minor roads, are very poor. A state, where thugs can still hijack things from you, even in daylight. Thank God you are in Europe. And thank God some of the people that are here also have information about, how things are done in many or in most of those developed places. At this point in time, we should not be talking about robbers coming or going to banks in the daylight, robbing banks in the daylight. They do it today, and they come again next month to the same bank. At this point in time in the history of our nation, we should have gone past, some kidnappers inhabiting our forests. When the country should have, when I just want to believe, or when we should believe or assume, that the country, as old as it is, and by the virtue of the people whom we think or assume to have necessary native intelligence, and that some people will now be inhabiting our forest. Then, what are security men doing? what is the army doing? And it all boils down to the fact that some of them also are not motivated. The civil servants that people abuse every time, how much is their salary? Someone who works for 35 years and has 2 children, you discover that 35 years, if he has or she has worked for 35 years, and assuming his or her firstborn is 25, 25 minus 35 is 10. For 25 years, he or she has lived on loan. For 25 years, 25 of the 35 years, he or she was unable to eat what he or she wanted. For 25 of the 35 years, he or she never had a smooth night rest. Every time he was always thinking about how to pay one debt, how to pay one loan or the other. So the civil servants also are not motivated. When they now have the opportunity, they steal. They steal. So the belief system and the value system, it is now a kind of a value chain. It is not a kind of a value chain. And that chain, we must ensure that everyone in that chain, has the right value and understands what we think of our nation, of our country, and how we want this country to be run. Conclusively, for me, it is not about age. It is about vision. We have too many people who do not believe that this country can ever change. We have too many people who do not believe that any good can still come out from the Jerusalem of this country. So when they now find themselves in the corridor of power, they steal. It is now a kind of positioning. When you are there, you don't talk. When you live there, you begin to talk. So the value system, the value chain has to be corrected, and we must ensure compliance to the norm that we believe in. I am believing, and I know that pride will get there. Pride will get there. It is just a matter of time. We will leave this country. This country will be transformed, as a result of what we are doing here or what we do here every Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Comrade Okunoga. I, as always, I could sense your passion there, and I thank you. These are very, very germane, very key and germane issues, and it is my hope that at some point we get back, like I said, in August, by the grace of God. At some point in August, all of us will be back here, hopefully with more people to actually discuss this topic again, because there's a lot to talk about, and we need to continue to talk about it, to continue to sensitize people. And I'm happy that you did mention the permanent voters card, that if they are members of our own organization, even as we're telling others to go and get registered to vote, it would be a big shame if there's anybody even within who is yet to do this, because that's the only way we can make that change. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I'm just gonna give, because we've actually overrun our time. I'm hoping that we don't spend more than the next 7 minutes. I'm gonna give Comrade Ayole Olayinka and Olada Afolabi, I'm gonna give them just a bit of opportunity to talk, and then SecGen would actually close the session for us. Or is so we'll just go to Comrade Lukman Ayale, and then after that we go to Comrade Afolabi. Give them 3 minutes each to give their contribution. 3 minutes.
Good evening, sir, my convener. Good evening, other member. In fact, this is a very good talk, and I'm happy that you say you are bringing it back. I will appreciate that, sir. Let me, I want to align with Kenny Okunuga to some extent, which I understand the angle Comrade Afolabi is coming from. But the fact is, let me use yesterday election as a case study, because I was fully part of that election that took place, that they just concluded local government election. Will you believe that majority of our youth Many of them did not come out for that election, despite the fact that there was public holiday, no movement, restriction of movement. Everybody is at home. They didn't come out. Even those that are out, that are even close to their polling units, they were busy drinking, having fun. The only people I saw yesterday are those market women.
Hmm.
I went to a deep thought yesterday. I now realize some things. I discovered that today we only blame, to be sincere with you, sir, we only blame the North. That North are the one ruling Nigeria. The North will continue to rule Nigeria. And that is the fact, because even in Southwest, we are not ready for anything. Sir, that yesterday election, go and see what happened in my 12. Go and see the way the Hausas in my 12 market, the way they threw part in my 12 to vote. I still have the pictures on my phone.
Hmm.
I have the pictures and everything on my phone. Go and see the way they came out with their wives to vote in yesterday election. The number of votes that the Hausas people, their number of votes is even more than many of the ones that voted yesterday. And my people are there staying at home. Some are there waiting for somebody to come and give them money to vote. And we want change. We are only blaming that these leaders, they do not want us to have that change, but we are not ready for it. We have the population, we have the strength. You know, I said this some times ago. I don't know if you remember, sir. I even, like Kenneth said, I said this some times ago. I said when I decided to come back to the system, that when I got there, because I have somebody in that SCD that really inspired me, the way she works, all the things she's doing, and so on. So when I got to this, I discovered that most of the power that be were against her, because she was trying to change the system. Because whenever she wants to do something, she won't hand it to the so-called political leaders that are in charge. That when you give them something to give to the people, they will put 80% of those things will be for their family. They won't give it to the people. She now decided to be giving it out on personally. She will call each word. She will call people. Okay, come to so location. She will sit down there and they will be giving out to the people, including the palliative that were shared last year. It inspired me. So when I started agitating for this woman, many, including the youth, I have some people that will come to me that will tell me, if you want to contest tomorrow, those leaders might be against you. And what if this woman did not win this election? You know, so many things. And I told them, I said, either she win or she doesn't win. It's not my problem. If I want to contest tomorrow, they support me, it's not my problem. I'm not desperate to have anything in life. I'm not too desperate. But once you are doing what is right, I'm ready to support that thing that is right. But what I discovered is that among the youth today, the intention is not there. That's number one. The determination is not there. And we are not ready for the change. And things will continue to remain the same. I said it before that we have to go to the streets. If you are a good politician and you want to have that support and that vote, I'm telling you, sir, you have to go to the streets. Most of us on social media, the most educated person, they won't come out to vote. Those market women, those traders are the ones that you will see voting. So that is where we need to start from. As an individual, sir, I will appreciate if you can bring this topic again so that we can discuss better. There will be time for us to talk. Thank you
so
very much, sir.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We're definitely going to bring this topic back because we need to go deeper into the issues. You can see that everybody has brought different angles to this. And true, Alaji Amino Abdulkadir, true, Southerners don't like voting. Let them keep abusing us Northerners. Well, that's are you able to say something, Alaji? But I think because of our time anyway, I can only afford to call Oladayo Afolabi alone. Hopefully, like I said, we're going to bring this session back, and I'm hoping that maybe the SecGen or the director of PGL Todd or any one of you would actually moderate it. And I would be more than happy to just sit there and then, probably I just, it should just be nice for a change to actually be the one do a lot more of the listening, So, Comrade Olada, let's hear your views on this. Sorry, that's from Alaji Abdulkadir. If you can't vote, how can you keep criticizing? That's the same person who wrote through. Southerners don't like voting, and I think it was in response to what Comrade Lukman Ayole said about. And this is someone on ground. So I want those who are watching this on social media and those of us who are part of this too, take a very key note of that. This is someone who was part of the electoral process, and he said in mile 12 that the Northerners, the Hausas, the Fulanis who sell in the market, they who dwell around that area, that they trooped out to vote en masse. That is so. Even they control who governs. They control those who govern Lagos. They control those who govern those. So if they are the ones voting for your representative, that means they will vote for those who have sympathies, who have sympathy for the Hausa nation, for the Hausa Fulani agenda. So whatever it is, So if people cannot be bothered to vote, why should we criticize those who queue up to vote? And he said, Comrade Lukman Awele said, the Hausas came out with their wives, with their grown-up children, and they queued for hours to vote, and the Yorubas and the Igbos were nowhere to be found. That speaks a lot to us, and I'm happy that we're hearing that from someone who was on ground. Because social media, what we're going to write here is that, well, someone wrote results, and that some people, but that was someone who was on ground. So, Comrade Afalabi, let's hear you. You're the last person we're going to hear today, and then call us again to close the game.
Yeah, good evening, the convener. Good evening, everyone. Quite an interesting session we've had tonight. I don't want to dwell in so much because of our time, but I just want to say that youth did not become disenchanted overnight. Disenchantment came because they have been disenfranchised over time. And irrespective of how we tend to see it, we must begin to acknowledge these problems, because failure to do so will mean that we will just continue to, we'll be running as though we are beating the air. For instance, you've got a situation where youth have given up on the electoral process. Look at the arguments we are still having. We are not even talking of electronic voting. We are yet to come to terms with electronic transmission of results. Isn't that something ridiculous? So if as little as let us just transmit these results after all the agents have verified it at each polling unit, let them feed it in electronically. If that alone is causing a huge uproar, then when we now talk of electronic voting and then probably people in the diaspora having a voice, then we are far from where we want to be. And these are just part of those instituted disenfranchisement that has taken place. And so for people who are so educated, they just come to resolve that nothing is going to change in the nearest future. What we'll continue to do is the minority will be having their say and the majority will be having their way. And then this brings me back to some of the things I have raised in the past. Looking at an environment like the United States, for instance, population winning an election is not just about simple majority. Clinton had simple majority, but Trump still won the election. And in an environment where certain things has been skewed in favor of some, you will keep having this kind of issues. The North will continue to dominate. Have you seen the analysis recently? How many people look at the population, for instance? It's in their favor because apart from the the religion, as in the culture and the religion, which allows for a man, for instance, to marry more than one, probably marry four. Even if you are not okay with the last, you can divorce and take another, and there is no birth control. But these are things that the Southern culture kind of put certain checks to. So definitely, one region is actually actually has been skewed in terms of population, um, in their growth, in terms of their population, and with that, as far as election still remains by simple majority, definitely there is no way the South is going to win the election. And these are part of the things we are talking about. I am a young person. I'm just thinking of, okay, maybe maximum 3 children. People of my age over there already have 20. So what are we talking about? And you think that gives me a level playing ground with them? It
Oh
doesn't.
yeah,
I can't have that.
but when you complain about this, it is not that
I
there's a law that is discriminating against you. It's just it's a personal choice, you know.
No,
So
yes, it is. It is.
go.
But then coming down to the electoral
I'm
act,
just enjoying it. Yeah.
if it is not about simple majority, if it is region, if it is about, okay, which party has this local government favored, if that is what we are looking at, then maybe we will be arriving somewhere. Already the Northwest has 7 states, the Southeast has 5. Tell me, how would 7 and 5 compete together? It's not possible. Can we have a situation whereby we have equal because whether
But
agree to it or not.
how does the state affect the configuration? It's just, for example, saying Lagos. If you divide Lagos into 20 states, it's
Mm.
still the same vote, more or less, that were in it, quote and unquote. You know, that will still, you know. So what has that got to do? It's actually the people, not really the geographical expression, isn't it?
Yes, it is not the geographical expression, but we are still coming down to how the electoral laws has been skewed. I'm saying that simple majority winning an election should not actually be a criteria, because as far as we continue to use that as a criteria, then a region has been skewed as in a region has an advantage over the other. It's not, I don't intend to dwell on that for long anyway. And so coming down to the monetary side too, tell me, do I have a politician's war chest to contest in an election? A politician ready to ignite like 3 billion? Am I going to do to have that? And so I can't. You understand? Even what the law says that when the law says that a party should have maximum amount of independent candidacy, we are still not playing ground. Can we accept independent candidacy?
Okay, I think Comrade Olade Afolabi's line has gone very bad there. I want to apologize to we've not really been running over in the last, but you know what? This is an in-house members only panel today, so and it has dragged on, and I once again apologize, especially those watching us on social media. We've been doing everything, and in the last few months, we've actually been basically keeping to time. But I want to thank everybody for participating. Miss Adepoju, are you? We tried to get you to, because we were hoping that, like the Secgen already notified you, wanted you people to have quite a lot of the floor tonight. Miss Tosin Adepoju, are you able to unmute?
Yes.
Okay, let's just have a final perspective from you on this before the Secgen closes the session.
Oh, youth participation. Oh, okay.
Hello? Okay. Hello? just unmute yourself.
That she's
Okay, I think we lost her there. So so I'm just gonna call on the SecGen to actually close the session tonight. It's been a very fantastic session, and for those I want to. We're going to keep to our word by the grace of God to have a part 2 of this. And at least once a month, it's what we've already decided to do. We're going to be having a particular Sunday that is dedicated to our members just to express themselves publicly, have the floor, be able to debate these issues. So hopefully maybe the third or the last Sunday in August, we're going to be coming back. I believe we're having five Sundays, if I'm correct, in August. I believe so. We should be able to either the 4th or the 5th. We're able to use this. But next week, we're going to be having back again Professor Kole Odutola. Professor Kole Odutola was there the other time. It was a fantastic session. I still remember Comrade Abidemi Onojobi having throwing, actually, taking up everybody on that webinar that day, and throwing up some difficult questions. Professor Kole Odutola, professor of language, University of Florida, and concurrent President's University of New Jersey, United States of America, would be our guest on the show, and we'll be discussing things. And we're hoping the Sunday after that, barrister is it Inibe Effiong, if I'm correct? Hopefully the week after that as well. We've got a very, very fantastic lineup for August and beyond, and we want you to join us next Sunday, 6 p.m. It's going to be a very interesting time. The last one, we had the DVC, University of Lagos, joining us, and quite a few other people on what was a very, very key topic of languages and their retention, and how the culture, the African culture, can actually be retained. So next week we're having a follow-up to that, and it promises to be a fantastic one. Don't miss it, 6 p.m. on Sunday. Miss Adepoju, are you back? We need to be running up the session, so Miss Adepoju, I noticed you just came back. Okay, SecGen, please round up. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Convener, for the excellent job of coordinating this session and in a usual manner. We sincerely appreciate you. And at the same vein, I want to try and appreciate all our audience who are persistently joining us.
Okay.
This webinar session. And most importantly, this evening, I want to appreciate our discussion. Different views, divergent views. So very definitely get it right, because we believe the stronger the youth, the better for the nation. It's something when the nation get the youth right that we're going to get things right as a nation. So we continue to conscientize, we continue to orientate the youth wing, we continue to orientate the youth population for us to put Nigeria. So I want to sincerely thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you again next week, Sunday. Have a fantastic week ahead. God bless you. Bye for now. The stream is on Facebook and YouTube. You can always just search out Plied GAHRD. GAHRD is GAHRD. And then you throw up our videos. Have a blessed week. See you again 6 p.m. next Sunday. God bless you. Bye for now.
Recording stopped.